step closer to a Saturday game against the Texans for the next round of the playoffs for the Chiefs. Matt Derrick's going to tell you exactly what's going to happen.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, friends and neighbors. It is Locked On Chiefs, getting ready for the Texans in the divisional round. Matt Derrick's here from ChiefsDigest.com to give us the insight, as well as Chief Digest here on the YouTube platform. Check him out. Thanks for making us your first listen. Make sure you check out a next Locked On show for your next one. You probably want to listen to the Texans show this week. I'm just saying. But we are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. You can get in the action right now. $5 get you $200 in bonus bets if you just win a $5 bet at FanDuel.com. Go over there to get started. We are going to cover all the bases, the gotchas, and Matt's expert opinion of what this game is going to look like, as much as you can do 5 days out or whatever this is. That's going to be fun and coming up later in the show. Who could we see on the field that we haven't seen in a while? There are a couple of possibilities, some plausible, some a stretch, but we're going to go through all those coming up next. And we are going to start right here with, I think, the best news that Andy could have given everybody in, honestly, I put it on social media, maybe the best impactful news of the day across the NFL. Every single Kansas City Chief practiced today. It doesn't matter whether it's full or whether it's pseudo or whatever. Everybody practiced. There are very few teams in this league that can say that at this time of year, Matt. How does that look? And are you encouraged by this, or I'm just making too much out of it?
No, I don't think you're making too much out of it at all, because I mean it tells you that the Chiefs' plan worked, that their decision to rest as many guys as they could in week 18 and after they secured the bye week, that time off meant that everybody could be available. And we're still waiting to see who was probable, who was partial, who was limited, if anybody was, and it may have been everybody was full. And if that's the case, and even if you got a few names on the list, it's pretty good shape, because no other team is going to have a report like that, especially the teams that were just coming out of the plan this weekend. So, yeah, Chiefs' plan worked. And if that means that you've got Chris Jones at 100%, Travis Kelce at 100%, you're exactly where the Chiefs wanted to be right now.
This is when a plan comes together, A-Team fans. And Chris Jones in particular is the first person that I want to talk about, because there's a lot of hubbub about him not playing, et cetera, taking it easy, coming out. It's a calf strain. Yes, it's not the end of the world, but you do want to make sure that you're able to fire off. And I thought it was smart. They only rested 33 players last week, so I think that was great. That's an exaggeration, folks. But it did feel like there was a lot of guys getting the rest that they needed. For Chris Jones in particular, I think that pays off in what is not just hopefully a rejuvenated calf, but a guy that feels rested and is raring to go again, because we know Chris can turn it up. Is there anything that you see from warmups or anything else that makes you think that there's anything lingering for Chris?
Certainly didn't seem like it. I mean, as I was able to shoot some video that you can find on my X account, and and hey, all we got to see is him stretching and jogging, so we're not seeing a ton. But certainly didn't look like a guy that was in discomfort. If he's a full participant, that's telling us that he's probably not getting a whole lot of treatment either. Got to see him in the locker room, and he's talking on the podium on Wednesday, so didn't get a chance to talk to him on Tuesday. But no, I mean, Chris looks like a guy's ready to go. And last week, had the Chiefs played a game, had they played into wild card round, Chris would have played. So he's ready to go. But that extra week of rest, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, that was important to just get him closer to to 100%. And I mean, hey, is anybody 100% this time of year? Probably not. But is Chris at his best possible, especially coming off a calf strain? I mean, it certainly looks like. And we'll see what Chris has to say on Wednesday. But my expectation is that he's going to say the injuries, man, that's nothing. It's behind him.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see it. It also looks like Juwan Taylor practiced. DJ Humphries practiced, obviously. That comes to the biggest question of what we expect to see. And Andy played it, I think, pretty close to the vest. But I still feel like as we go into this playoff game, put people where they're most effective is my thought. Joe Thuney's been great when he's had to play left tackle, but he's a better left guard. I think we all know that. The question is DJ ready to go? I know some people have expressed some concern about maybe still not 100%, maybe favoring a little bit. I went back and watched, and I do see a twinge from here or there, but it doesn't look systemic to me, and it doesn't look like it's something I need to be concerned about this week. I think they should start DJ out at left tackle and let Joe play his guard spot. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I think on paper, that's the best Chiefs offensive line. I mean, on paper, DJ Humphries is the best left tackle. He's most suited for it, the most experienced, most physically built for it. Joe Thuney is an all-pro left guard. Just got named all-pro left guard. So you're better off with Joe Thuney as an all-pro left guard than a left tackle, because as good as Joe Thuney is, bless his heart, and great dude and all, he's not an all-pro left tackle. Now, DJ Humphries isn't right now either. But once again, it comes back to, what are you getting? I mean, are you better off with a replacement level left tackle and an all-pro left guard, or are you better with it? Hey, I mean, let's be real. I mean, Joe Thuney has been really good at left tackle, but he's not an all-pro. He's not a Pro Bowler. So let's say an average left tackle and an average left guard. That might be what you called Mike Caliendo. Mm-hmm. I mean, on paper, you're better off with DJ Humphries. I think that, for the Chiefs, I think it's going to come down to, though, what does Patrick Mahomes want? What makes him most comfortable? And if he's comfortable with DJ Humphries, I think they'll play DJ Humphries. If he's more comfortable with Joe Thuney, pretty good chance they'll go with Joe Thuney, because I know that in those last couple of games playing with Thuney, that Patrick Mahomes wasn't keeping his eyes on what was going on behind him. He wasn't, worrying about what was happening. He was keeping his eyes downfield. He was looking at everything pre-snap and worrying about his receivers more than he was worrying about the protection. And if that enables him to play with the efficiency that he had the last couple of games of the season and getting rid of the ball quickly, that's what you need. So if I'm Andy Reid and Andy Heck, I'm putting a lot of, Patrick Mahomes' voice into what he wants at that left tackle and making the decision. But, like you made the point. I mean, if you go with DJ Humphries and you start him and it doesn't work out, you can always move Joe Thuney over and bring Mike Caliendo in. Doesn't really make any sense to go the other way. I mean, you're not going to start Joe Thuney, and if he struggles, move him inside and bring DJ Humphries in. That's not really how it works. Anything works. So, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if Joe Thuney starts, because, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But, I mean, like I said, on paper, the Chiefs' best offensive line is Humphries and Thuney.
Okay. I hope that that's the way that it works out. There are also a couple of wrinkles that could show up that we could see on the field in one form or another. What will they be? That's coming up next. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now, new customers can bet just $5 to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets back on your account, win or lose. Right now, FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, for same-game parlays, and much, much more. You can get in the action right now, whether it's the wild card round to see what the Bills and Broncos do, whether it's the Chargers, or you're just getting ready for the divisional round where the Chiefs are back in it. Visit FanDuel.com today. Get signed up. Get started with $200 in bonus bets. Right now, it's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff unforgettable with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Make sure you check out Matt at ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest on YouTube. You can find me over at NFL33.com and RGR Football, as well as Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting. That's RogueAPC.com. Helps if I remember my own site name. It helps a lot if I remember what some guys look like, because they haven't been on a field in a while. And there are two critical, I think, case scenarios here of guys that could return to the roster for this ballgame, maybe the next ballgame, whatever. There's an open window right now. And I think the most intriguing to me is not the guy everybody wants to hear. We'll talk about him in a second. But is there room? Is there a reason to have Nicole Hardman come back to the 53 at this point? Because I like what Nico Romeo has done in the return game. I'd like to see him on offense a little bit and bring his, what I feel is a much more nastier edge and a higher energy volume to this team than what we've seen from Nicole. But Nicole's got the experience. He scored in the Super Bowl. It's a back and forth. Where do you stand on it today?
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, because if, and the Chiefs have a roster spot open for somebody to come back from injured reserve this week, with putting Marlon Tuipulotu on injured reserve. They're down to 52 right now. So it could be Nicole Hardman. It could be Jalen Watson. We'll see what happens. But, with bringing back Nicole, there's a couple of things that happen. One, you now could have McCole and Nico back on kick returns rather than Nico and Samaj Perine. And I think that's an upgrade. If, nothing else, then, this kind of saves Samaj for, offense. I mean, he's a veteran after all. And I mean, he's not necessarily the most suited guy for kick returns. I mean, McCole is much more suited. So to me, putting McCole and Nico back there, you could even throw some wrinkles. I mean, the Chiefs have not been very creative or aggressive on kick returns this season. If you put McCole and Nico, you do open the box of tricks a little bit more. I mean, there could be some, potential with reverses and handoffs and, crossing the field. And that's, come to some kind of things they worked on at training camp that we haven't seen at all this year. So I think it opens it up a little bit. And McColl's a veteran. I mean, he knows every play in the book. So, he is that insurance that if anybody goes down during the playoffs, I mean, McCole can step into any role. And like you saw in the Super Bowl last year, I mean, even if it's 2 or 3 plays that you've got designed for McCole to take advantage of, he could always be useful. So I don't think that it's an either or with Nico or McCole. I think if McCole comes back, I think it's both of them because I think this team is better with both those guys out there.
Okay, that's fair. Well, then there's another either or, though, because there's only one spot available. And the other one that everybody wants to know is Jalen Watson. Practice today. Again, full practice, everybody on the roster, folks. He's been making this progression. Came back earlier than I certainly expected, even me, and I was one of the last holding out hope for this to actually progress to this point. But at this point, with the stable of receivers you're going to play in this ballgame, you're going to see John Mechie, which you didn't see a whole lot of last time. You're going to see Hutchinson. Didn't see a whole lot of them last time. They are, without Tank Dell and his significant injury that happened the last time these two plays, they are not as strong at wide receiver as they were previously, in my opinion, in most opinions. Is it something that you feel you need to rush Jalen Watson back for right now? Is it better to hold him out? If he is close to returning, is it better for the championship game or even the Super Bowl if they get there? Or would you, if he's ready to go-ish, do you put him in now?
Yeah, the if is really the question on Jalen Watson. And, remember, I mean, when he went on injured reserve, the belief from the Chiefs was that this is a 12-week minimum injury. I mean, it wasn't just the fractured ankle. It was also a high ankle sprain. So, he required surgery on both of those items. Isaiah Pacheco had a very similar injury, didn't have the high ankle sprain that didn't require the surgery. So he only had the fractured fibula, fractured ankle that he had to deal with. He came back in 11 weeks. I'm still not convinced that Isaiah Pacheco's 100% coming back. So, what are you talking about with Jalen Watson, who had a more severe injury, right now is just getting to the 12-week point that maybe he could come back. And Andy Reid, I mean, I know that I've seen a lot of people taking his comments on Tuesday both directions. It's either, Jalen Watson's playing on Saturday or it's more tempered. And I think it's definitely more tempered because a couple of the things that he mentioned was, they still have to see him take a hit. Hasn't done that. And that'll be a key, Reid mentioned really watching what happens this week in practice. And Wednesday's practice, which will likely be in pads and a full go practice, will be a huge test. And then it becomes the question of how much is Jalen Watson? Because Reid mentioned that he's not ready to play a full game. So you're only going to get a certain, he's going to be on a pitch count, be a limited number of snaps. So, the question is what percentage is Jalen Watson back and how much work can he give you? Can he take a hit? All of those questions. And, here would be my, counterpoint to anybody who says that, hey, the Chiefs were struggling against the Texans and their passing attack last time around and they didn't have Jalen Watson. So having him back would be important. Well, I also say that this Texans passing attack since they lost Tank Dell in Kansas City has not been the same. Wasn't the same in the second half after they lost him, hasn't been the same since then. You look at those 32 points that they put up on the Chargers on Saturday, 20 of them essentially came from the offense because the defense did the rest of the work. So I don't know that you have to have Jalen Watson back this week. And if holding him back means it's more likely that you've got him for an AFC Championship game and a Super Bowl closer to 100%, that would probably be the way to go.
I understand where you're coming from. I think the attractiveness is the matchup. Nico Collins, you feel like you want to get physical with. So if it's not Jalen and you do keep him for the AFC CG or for the Super Bowl, then it looks to me like it's still got to be Joshua Williams, who does the dirty work and gets physical with him, tries to keep him from getting to his spots. He's going to try to settle into deep zones. I don't think it's going to be quick hitters. I think Nico, for their offense to run, has to be effective in the 15 to 20 yard range. And so preventing him from getting there on time, I think, helps the pass rush and everything else. But if it is Jay Will, how confident are you in that? And if it's not, who would you like to see match up with him?
I mean, I don't really care about the size of the receiver. I'll put Trent McDuffie on anybody. And let's face it. I mean, without Tank Dell, it really is Nico Collins or nothing a little bit with that offense, from a passing standpoint. So, I don't have any trouble putting Trent McDuffie on anybody. And if you need to mix it up a little bit, and you do want to get more physical, you're right. I mean, Josh Williams is probably going to be your guy. So, maybe do mix and match a little bit there, give him a little bit different flavor. But I'm not really. Here's the thing. I mean, that's not the matchup that really concerns me that much with the Chiefs versus Texans. I'm much more concerned about dealing with that Texans defensive line, because they played out of their minds against the Chargers. And if they play like that again, they can give the Chiefs some trouble, because let's face it, Ryan, the Chargers offensive line's good, especially at the tackles. And the Texans just wrecked them inside and out. There were some really bad snaps from their tackles, including Joe Alt, my guy. So that's what I would be concerned about. I mean, if the Chiefs lose this game, I don't think it's because CJ Stroud and Nico Collins goes off. I think it's because the Texans defensive line is getting to Mahomes and making him uncomfortable.
You can check in with Matt, for the leader of the fan club there for the younger Alt. I think there's plenty in terms of like what we do have to watch out for, who that matchup becomes and who else stands in there. I think that's one of them, but it's not the only one. We have plenty of scenarios. We're going to get to some of them coming up next. Well, Matt, it is another week, and you're going to have to give some kind of prediction. I'm just setting you up for it. We're going to take our time to get there, though, buddy. Folks, you can find all of Matt's work at ChiefsDigest.com and Chiefs Digest here on the YouTube platform. 41 is the mic as well. You want to listen to that podcast, get with him and Nick, because there's a lot of opinion. And when you're on here, not in the host capacity, you are on the other show, it does end up that the guy sitting across from you, the two guys seem to share a lot of opinions. I like where he's coming from. One of the things that I want to see get taken up a notch is those gotchas. I will take this to, it's not gadgetry in my opinion, because when a Hall of Famer is performing this, I think it's worth it. But the thing that you said earlier about the return game and taking Samaj Perine out of that means that he, I think, is more able and more rested and more in tune to take advantage of what I think is going to be the most fun play in this postseason for the Chiefs. The inevitable in-action lateral from Travis Kelce. I think that's the big gotcha that could be coming our way. I see it happening. Do you?
Entirely possible. I mean, Travis is talking about feeling 22 again this week, and great branding. I mean, Travis is on point there. But I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, this rest and this laugh has been great for Travis. I think that you are going to see playoff mode Travis Kelce this time of year. I mean, I think he is going to be taking it up a notch from anything that you've seen. And let's face it, I mean, Travis Kelce didn't really have a bad season. I mean, especially when you consider just his age, the attention that he got most of the season, with the injuries around him that the Chiefs were dealing with, and the fact that he was continuing to get doubles and triple teams. I mean, and let's face it, I mean, the mileage is catching up with Travis. We know that, but he still had a productive year. And I just think that you are going to get, Travis at a higher level, and probably more creative Travis too. So yeah, I mean, if he gets a chance to take advantage, but I think you make a really good point with Samaj too, because as much as I thought that the Chiefs played really vanilla against the Broncos offensively, that one pass play that they had designed and set up to Samaj was probably the most creative thing. And I just felt like that Andy Reid put that out there in that Broncos game because he's planning on doing something similar in the playoffs at some point. He just wanted everybody to see that, because to know next time we're going to do something a little bit different on that. But Samaj can be a real weapon in some situations like that. And, whether it's some screens or, just getting some guys out in the flat, getting open, I mean, Samaj could really be an X factor too. And so I do think that if you're just talking about gotcha plays from the fact that Andy Reid can get you, yeah, I mean, Samaj might be one of those chess pieces.
Okay. I'm glad that we see it that way. The guy on defense for me that I think could be the gotcha in this particular game, because I think for me, if I'm the Texans, I'm trying to focus on Mixon a little bit more. I'm trying to wear down the Chiefs front so that Stroud has time to let Collins do his thing, right? So I'm focusing on the run, and to stop that, I think you can put it on the defensive line as much as you want, but I think the guy who has the ability to make the biggest difference in maybe the biggest role is Leo Chenal, coming into, I think, a time where they've been hiding him a little bit in terms of snap count, certainly in terms of deployment. What do you see for Leo? And is there someone else that you think could be an even bigger impact in this game?
Yeah, I kind of wondered where you're going there, and I thought we were going on the same page, but you fooled me a little bit. We kind of are both going a little bit different direction here. No, I mean I love Leo, and Leo I think has been playing some great football. Obviously, he's been creating plays. He's been involved in some turnovers. That's been, incredible. And that's the one thing, I mean, that, as Chenal just continues to come along, he just keeps building his game. I mean, he's not and this is the crazy thing, is that, the Chiefs had a vision for what Leo could be coming in. And, they really kind of viewed him as, hey, a guy who can play downhill. Maybe he can even be a future Mike linebacker. And, that's kind of even completely gone away. I mean, he's not even on the radar of being that, but he is somebody that they're comfortable with playing on either side outside. He can play on the ball. He can play on the line of scrimmage. They can blitz. He can be a spy. He can drop back. I mean, they're comfortable with him in almost any role. I'd still be a little iffy on the drop back, but, I thought you might be going a different direction, because when it comes to stopping Joe Mixon, it's the guy in the middle that makes the difference. And let's face it, this season, I think, even for being a young guy and everything, there's been a lot on Nick Bolton's plate and a lot been grinding down. And I think getting him some rest in week 18 and getting him that extended layoff was huge, because you're going to count on him a lot, not just in this game against Joe Mixon, but certainly if you make it going further, because if you're playing the Ravens, I mean, Nick Bolton's going to be incredibly important in stopping that run game. I mean, I think he'd even be important against the Bills. It's a little bit different style, but once again, the run game's important, and Josh Allen's important. So, I mean, yeah, that's the guy for me. Is that I think Nick Bolton could be a really huge X factor in this game, because if you can keep Joe Mixon in check, you're going to go a long way. And it starts up front, but it also starts right there in the middle with Bolton.
Yeah, make life harder on the quarterback. I like it. So, all that aside, what do you think actually happens?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just don't feel like that the Texans offense has been the same since Tank Dell went down. No doubt the home crowd helped a lot with the Texans on Saturday. That was an emotional win for them. It can be tough for teams to back that up, but then, we've also seen this Texans team come in and build a 24-point lead on the Chiefs and not be able to put it away. So, I mean, I just feel like that the Chiefs experience is going to be too much. Even if the Texans come in and get off to a hot start, I just don't think it's anything that they can sustain. The Chiefs being as rested as they are, we'll see if they come out a little flat offensively early. I don't think they're going to end it flat. I think the Chiefs win this one fairly comfortably. I'm going 30-21 Chiefs.
Oh, I like it. Okay. You're going to get my prediction on Friday, as we always do, folks. Tomorrow, Chris is going to have some inside information for you from the other side. And Matt's going to break it all down all week long at Chiefs Digest. So, Matt, I hope that you're right, and we'll see if I agree on Friday. And thank you for shedding the light today.
Always a pleasure, Ryan. Take care, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody. We appreciate you. Like, sub, hit that bell. Make sure you are with us on the audio side as well as this side. Check out Locked On NFL. It's a new format, and my guys Tyler and Tony are breaking it down multiple times. Have a great day.